and welcome to BRUZZ International, the English-speaking show here on BRUZZ. It's great to have you with us for this latest edition, which is all about the Latvian community here in the city. So we're starting by telling you all about the Latvian Choir.
So we are at the Latvian Embassy in Brussels. Each Saturday we have choir rehearsals with Latvian Youth Choir. It's something we are bounded to this somehow, and that makes us to continue it and to consider it as something important that should be transmitted. In Latvia, I graduated there as a music teacher and choir conductor, so they asked me to take responsibilities of conducting this choir. I'm studying here orchestral conducting in the conservatoire here in Brussels.
We are preparing to take part next year for big feast which will happen in Riga, in Latvia. It will be 150 years anniversary. Each 5 years it was coming all Latvians together in capital of Riga. First there was 500, after 1,000, 2,000, and to meet and to sing. And on the end we are on stage near 12,000, 13,000 singers. We have also some people which are not Latvian in our choirs. They like this music, they like this impression how to feel when you have some 4,000 people which sing only your voice, and some other 4,000 which are singing another voice. They are putting you up this sound.
Now that we know all about the Latvian Choir, it's time to get to know the Brussels Latvian Dance Group. It was set up back in 2008 to bring the Latvian community together.
Singing and dancing is in the DNA of any Latvian. What is beautiful in the dance group is the creation process, because we start with steps and then we actually create something beautiful. And when we have concerts, especially outside of Latvia, we see that people really appreciate the beautiful culture that we can share. Today we are in a beautiful park of Tervuren, and this morning the Brussels Latvian dancers had a rehearsal in Latvian costumes because we are preparing for the Song and Dance Festival that will take place in Riga next year. The Song and Dance Festival is more than 100 years old, and next year our group will be going to Riga to participate, where there will be 20,000 of singers and 18,000 of dancers dancing together in the stadium.
It is important for me to dance with Latvian group because this is part of who I am, and because it also gives me this feeling of togetherness and sharing common culture, common language, common joy. This group gives me the possibility, of course, to use my mother tongue whenever we meet.
Brussels Latvian dancers got together for the first time in 2008. The idea to have the group actually started in a football field. The guys were playing football and the girls said, "No way, we also want to do something." So the idea was born, and since then we have been dancing, participating in different concerts here in Belgium and also outside. Nobody is really financing the Brussels Latvian dancers. It's a totally volunteer activity for all the dancers and also our teacher. Sometimes we also have sponsors, and then that is really appreciated.
What I like about those costumes, it gives this some kind of like the story that I received from my ancestors.
The costumes that you see have been financed by ourselves. The very diligent girls, they have made some of the elements themselves.
This isn't something that you can just buy in a store. Even in Latvia, you can't buy into a store and just buy it ready-made. Everything is handmade by artisans. This is what the little kids would do. Pick the flowers and put them around like that and make them into a long chain. And then once the chain is finished, you just close it and you have a minuscule flower crown.
Brussels Latvian dancers do different jobs during the day. There are some people that work for the EU institutions, but some people that also work in private sector.
Those who do not dance during the performance and those who still have some energy left after the performance, they come together here in the side and make this camouflage net for Ukraine, for which we are deeply saddened and we want to support.
Definitely, dancing is also very good for health.
It's a nice way to get out and move, but it's also a way to stay connected with Latvia whilst you're living abroad.
Beer and chocolates, it's the unofficial after the rehearsals, but we burn a lot of calories when we dance, so it's okay.
Next in this report we meet one Latvian man based here in Brussels who claims not to be a very good dancer, but is a very good journalist based here in the city working for the Latvian Radio. So first of all, tell us what it's like to be a Latvian journalist here in Brussels.
Well, I think it's great. Since Latvia is such a small country, what we have to cover actually is not just Brussels, it's not just the EU, it's actually the whole Europe. I just came back from covering elections in France. I travel basically all the time.
What is it like telling the story of the European Union? It must be complicated sometimes.
To a very large degree, I talk about things that people don't understand or people have no background knowledge. And therefore, my job, first and foremost, is to explain to them what is it that we're talking about, what is this reform, what is this tax proposal, what is this statement, and so on and so forth. So I get to contribute to, let's say, a larger understanding of what Europe actually does.
So I imagine a lot of your time lately has been covering the war in Ukraine. How has that been?
The war in Ukraine is something that Latvians are really interested in, and this is touching lots of people very personally. Lots of people have anxieties about the situation and they care for what happens in Ukraine. Therefore, this is really a moment when I can bring the EU decisions, also NATO decisions, closer to people because they are then more interested in and want to know what the answer is and want to know what's going on.
Are there many Latvians here in Brussels?
Oh, absolutely. There is a significant Latvian community here living, and a lot of people work in institutions. Then there are families of those people, and then of course there are diplomats and people of that kind. They constitute the biggest group, obviously, of Latvians living here. But when elections happen, we also see in a polling station here at the Latvian mission that people from other parts of the country are coming as well.
And does the Latvian community here have some sort of place where they tend to go to meet up, to speak Latvian, to feel homesick perhaps sometimes?
There is definitely a Latvian society here. There is the organization that deals with all sorts of leisure activities. And then, of course, there is a Latvian dance group, an amateur one, folk dancing, because folk dancing is big, just as big as choir singing. Latvians love singing. That's where people meet, I think, the most.
So you're in Brussels now 7 years. Will you stay for another 7?
I hope so. I mean, I definitely like this place. I'm not amongst those people who are, Brussels bashers, people who love to criticize the city for this or for that. No, I definitely do not belong to that category of people. If you are here, then it should better be your choice, and you should better think that this is, make the most out of it.
And finally, we meet Christina, a Latvian based here in Brussels for 10 years, highly involved in the Brussels Latvian Theatre.
I'm coming from Latvia. I arrived here 10 years ago. I can call Brussels my home. I'm costume designer for Latvian Theatre here in Brussels, but I'm not a professional. It's like my free time job. These are costumes for our Latvian theatre here in Brussels. This is a costume with shapes. Latvian theatre here in Brussels is not professional. It's like a group of amateurs, group of people who would like to play and to keep Latvian identity. We are doing this to keep our Latvian community together. It is important because it's a part of our identity. I like parks here in Brussels. This is why I am here. It gives me inspiration for my artworks. I discovered that here in Brussels you have a very big choice of art schools for adults, and this is how I started to do some painting. I did it dedicated to Latvian national costume. I really enjoy to do my paintings in Brussels, in parks.
One thing I must tell you about Christina is that she is very humble. We ask her to do something and then she would say, yeah, I will try, maybe, I don't know, I'm not a professional. And then she's completely surprising us with the result.
I decided, maybe I can also play, maybe I can also be an actress here in the theatre. And yeah, it happened. I became an actress in Latvian Brussels Theatre because I also wanted to play and I also wanted to be on stage. Cycling is quite safe here in Brussels. Before the 4th of May, day of our independence, I am cycling around my house in my national costume. It started during the pandemic, but now it's like a tradition.
Well, that's it for this edition of BRUZZ International. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care and see you soon.